The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting an orange glow across the vast ranch. Jack Thompson, a rancher of few words, was finishing up his daily tasks. He was a man who had spent most of his life on this land, his hands weathered from years of hard work. He knew the ranch like the back of his hand, but tonight something felt different. For the first time in a long while, there was a stranger on the property. Lily, a young woman from the city, had arrived earlier that week. She was staying with her aunt, who lived in a nearby farmhouse. Her aunt had been feeling unwell, and Lily, eager to help, had come to lend a hand. The problem was Lily wasn't used to the country life. She'd grown up in the city, where everything was fast-paced and modern. This place, with its quiet mornings and wide-open spaces, was a world away from the bustling streets of the city. The first time Jack laid eyes on her, he had to admit, she didn't quite belong here. She was out of place, dressed in city clothes that looked far too delicate for the ranch life. But there was something about her determination that caught his attention. She wasn't here to just observe. She wanted to help. Jack respected that, though he wasn't sure how much help she could be. After all, running a ranch wasn't an easy job. It required experience, strength, and a deep understanding of animals, especially the cattle. But Lily didn't seem to be daunted by it. She was willing to try. The first few days had been awkward. Jack noticed Lily struggling with the chores. She tried, but it was clear that she wasn't comfortable around the animals. She had difficulty feeding the cattle and seemed unsure of herself when it came to handling the horses. Jack would watch from a distance, half amused, half sympathetic, but he didn't offer to help. He wasn't one for giving advice unless it was asked for. Besides, he wasn't sure she'd want his help. Most people didn't, not on his ranch. It was his way of doing things, and he preferred it that way. Then came the day everything changed. It started like any other day, with the bright morning sun climbing higher in the sky. Jack had just finished his rounds and was heading back to the barn when he saw Lily outside the farmhouse, standing next to a stubborn bull. He could tell right away that something was off. Lily was trying to coax the bull into the pen, but the animal was having none of it. It stamped its hooves and tossed its head, clearly irritated. Jack could see Lily was getting frustrated, and that's when she called out to him. "Jack," she shouted, her voice panicked. "Can you help me, please?" Without thinking, Jack walked over. As he got closer, he saw the fear in her eyes. The bull was getting more agitated, and Lily looked like she didn't know what to do next. She had a grip on the rope, but it was shaking in her hands. Jack could tell that the bull wasn't going to cooperate unless something changed. Jack paused for a moment. Normally, he would have taken charge immediately, commanding the bull to settle down. But today, something felt different. He noticed how Lily was standing, frozen in place, her eyes wide. She was doing her best, but she was overwhelmed, and Jack could see it. "Be gentle. It's too fast." Lily cried out, her voice quivering. Jack hesitated. He had always been the kind of man who dealt with things quickly, decisively. He was used to handling bulls with a firm hand, commanding them with the authority that came from years of experience. But there was something in Lily's voice, something that made him stop. For a moment, he considered his options. He could rush in and get the bull back into the pen in no time. But the way Lily had said it, "It's too fast," made him realize that maybe, just maybe, the situation needed a different approach. Taking a deep breath, Jack slowed his pace. He walked over to Lily and stood beside her, close enough to feel the tension in the air, but not so close that he startled the bull. He spoke gently, his voice calm and steady. "Take a deep breath," Jack said softly. "We're not in a hurry. Just let the bull calm down." Lily nodded, still holding the rope tightly but relaxing her grip just a little. Jack could see the strain in her shoulders and the way her hands trembled. He knew she was scared. She had never dealt with an animal this large, this unpredictable. But Jack also knew that fear could make everything worse. The more she panicked, the more the bull would sense it, and the harder it would be to control the situation. With careful, slow movements, Jack reached out and touched the bull's shoulder, speaking to it in a low, soothing tone. The bull snorted, stamping its feet, but Jack didn't move. He kept his voice steady, talking to the animal in a way that made it feel safe. It took a few moments, but the bull slowly calmed down, its body relaxing as Jack continued to speak softly. Lily watched in awe, her eyes wide. She had never seen anyone handle the bull like this. It was as though Jack was in complete control, not just of the animal, but of the situation itself. She had expected him to be rough, to take charge in the way most men would, but instead he had hesitated. He had taken his time, and in doing so he had shown her that there was more than one way to handle things. When the bull finally settled down, Jack turned to Lily, his face usually so serious, softened with a hint of a smile. "See?" he said. "No need to rush." Lily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Thank you," she whispered, still a little shaken but feeling a deep sense of relief. For the first time since she arrived, she felt like she could trust Jack not just as a rancher, but as someone who understood the importance of taking things one step at a time. The rest of the day passed more quietly. Jack didn't offer much in the way of conversation, but Lily found herself thinking about what had just happened. She had expected him to be like all the other ranchers she had met, quick to act, quick to criticize, quick to tell her what she was doing wrong. But Jack wasn't like that. He had been patient. He had given her space to breathe, space to figure things out on her own, and in doing so he had made her feel something she hadn't expected. Respect. Respect for him and for herself. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of pink and purple, Lily couldn't help but feel a warmth in her chest. It was a simple gesture, really. Jack hadn't said much, hadn't offered grand words of encouragement, but it was the way he had handled the situation, with gentleness and understanding, that had warmed her heart. For the first time since she arrived on the ranch, Lily felt like she belonged. The days following the incident with the bull were quieter, but there was an undeniable shift between Jack and Lily. The ranch seemed less intimidating to her now. She had found a rhythm in her work, and though there were still plenty of moments where she struggled, she no longer felt completely out of place. Jack, in his own quiet way, had started to show her the ropes. He didn't lecture, didn't rush her, but every now and then, when she needed it, he would appear just when she was about to make a mistake, guiding her with just the right amount of calm. One morning, as the early sunlight filtered through the tall trees and warmed the grass, Lily was standing by the barn trying to fix a broken fence post. She had noticed the night before that the cows had started wandering near the broken section, and she knew that if she didn't get it fixed soon, there would be trouble. But fixing the fence was harder than she expected. She was struggling with the tools, and the post wouldn't budge no matter how hard she tried. Frustration began to build up in her chest. She didn't hear Jack approach, but she felt his presence behind her. She froze, unsure of what to say. She hadn't expected him to be there, and suddenly she felt embarrassed. Was he watching her again? Was she making a fool of herself? Need some help? His voice was calm, steady, just like before. Lily turned slowly, trying to hide the frustration in her eyes. I'm fine. Just trying to get this post in the ground." Jack glanced at the fence post and then at the tools she was holding. He could tell she was close to giving up, but he also knew that if he pushed too hard, she might resent it. He had learned something important in the past few days. Lily wasn't someone who needed rescuing. She needed someone to guide her, to show her the way when she couldn't see it herself. "Let me show you a trick," Jack said softly. He took a step forward and knelt down beside her. With careful movements, he began to explain what needed to be done, showing her how to use the tools in a way that made the job easier. Lily watched him, her gaze softening. She was amazed by how easy he made it look. It was almost as if the ranch had its own language, one that he spoke fluently without even thinking, and here she was, still trying to learn the basics. As they worked together, the silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It felt natural. It was as though they were both in the same world now, a world that made sense when you took the time to understand it. Jack, for all his gruffness, had a way of making things seem simple. Lily didn't feel judged even when she struggled. Instead, she felt like he was just patiently waiting for her to catch up. By the time the fence was repaired, the sun was higher in the sky and the air had warmed. Jack stood up and brushed the dirt off his hands. "There, should hold until tomorrow." Lily smiled, a small but genuine smile. "Thank you. I would have been here all day if you hadn't helped. You're doing just fine. Just takes time." Jack nodded, his expression soft but steady, as if he was saying the most obvious thing in the world. They stood there for a moment side by side, looking at the newly repaired fence. It felt like a small victory, but for Lily it was a big one. She had fixed something with her own hands. She had learned, and though Jack had helped her, she didn't feel like he had done everything for her. He had guided her, yes, but it had been her effort that had made it happen. Later that afternoon, Jack and Lily found themselves together again, this time feeding the horses. The ranch was peaceful, and the horses trotted up to them as if they had been waiting for this moment. As Jack filled the troughs with fresh water, he glanced at Lily. She was brushing down a chestnut mare, speaking to it in low tones. Jack noticed how much more comfortable she seemed around the animals now. She wasn't afraid of them anymore. It was as if she had found her place, even if she still had much to learn. "You're getting the hang of this," Jack said, his voice quieter than usual. 'Twas an unexpected compliment, and Lily felt a rush of pride. "Thanks to you," she replied, her smile a little brighter. She paused for a moment, then added, "I never thought I'd be able to do any of this, but it's not as hard as I thought. It's just different." Jack nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. The city life she had come from was a world of noise and constant motion. But here on the ranch there was an unspoken understanding between the land and the people. You had to move with the rhythm of the earth, not fight it, and Lily was learning that. The sun began to set, casting a golden light over the ranch. The day had been long but rewarding. As the stars began to appear in the sky, Jack turned to Lily. "You can stay here as long as you need," he said. His words were simple, but there was a quiet sincerity behind them. Lily looked at him, her heart a little fuller than it had been before. "I'm starting to feel at home," she said softly. Jack didn't answer right away, but his eyes softened. He wasn't one for sentimental words, but he knew what she meant. This was a place that could offer peace if you allowed it to. As the evening wore on, the two of them sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Lily, for the first time since she arrived, felt like she had found something important. Not just a place to stay, but a place where she could truly belong. Jack glanced at her again, noting the way she had relaxed, the way her shoulders had dropped from their tense position. He felt a flicker of something in his chest, something he didn't often allow himself to feel. Maybe it was the way she trusted him, or maybe it was the way she was slowly finding her footing here. But whatever it was, he found himself looking at her a little differently. The quiet connection between them had grown in ways neither of them had expected. And though neither would admit it, both of them were beginning to realize that the ranch wasn't the only thing that had started to change.